There's all kinds of specialty tools, weird looking gizmos, and overcomplicated, unnecessary methods that people use to caulk their trim work. But there really is just a couple of simple secrets that are going to give you lightning fast, super clean looking results. So let me show you exactly how to do that. We'll go over this door trim here. I'll show you the straight runs, the inside corners, and then what to do when you come across some of those big nasty gaps. But first things first, what type of caulking should you use for trim work? If you're in North America, I would highly recommend DAP Dynaflex 230. I've been using this for about 15 years and it's the best product that I've found so far. The reason that this is better than the regular Alex Plus, the 40-year stuff, is flexibility. This has a dynamic joint rating of plus or minus 25%. This does not even have a rating. It's probably around 3 to 5%. This is far less likely to crack. So if you don't have Dynaflex 230 in your area, download the spec sheets and look for that dynamic joint rating. Now, when it comes to storing these tubes, you can see here the two simple options that I use. Piece of painter's tape, thumb it right, seal up the edge, wrap around, or the tiny condoms here. These just roll on the open tubes and keep everything nice and fresh. This is gonna last for 3-4 months. This will last for about a month. They won't last forever, but this is a nice way to store the open tubes. When it comes to a caulking gun, if you have one of these levered guns, do me a favor, throw this thing out in the driveway and then run over it a few times with your car. You're gonna be much better off with a dripless gun. This baby is $10.89. I will link it in the description. This is the cheapest, best option out there. The dripless feature is going to be much easier for the beginner to use. If you're a seasoned pro and you've been using the levered gun for 15 years, you're a legend and I appreciate you. If you're a senior out there and your hands are a little bit kind of arthritic and you need some help, have a look at this gun here. It is an exterior grade gun. It's going to be more for your thicker glues and adhesives and exterior caulking products. This has a thrust ratio of 18:1 versus 10:1. What that means is it's just going to be easier to squeeze out this material here. So if you don't have strong hands, this is your pony right here. Let's get to the caulking thing. That's probably why you clicked on this video. I'm going to show you the secrets here. This is the #1 secret. That is how to cut the proper tip on your tube. If you do that, it's going to be infinitely easier than the wrong tip. Let me show you exactly how to do that. Take a razor sharp utility knife. You want to cut away from yourself. It's very easy to cut yourself here. So take that knife, put it right towards the end, and then I don't like to cut it straight across. I like a bit of an angle, maybe about 10-15 degrees. It doesn't have to be exact, and make a clean slice. Now you want to find the longest point of that tip. Take a forever marker, red, black, whatever color you have, and make an orientation line along that top ridge. What that visual reference allows you to do is get the gun in the perfect orientation. Whether you're going up and down, going left to right, you got to turn a corner, you can spin the tube in the gun and get this thing exactly where you need it to be. If you don't have a marker, take your utility knife and just make some shark fins along that top ridge. And then the next thing here is just a secret that I picked up from some of the best painters in British Columbia. I stole their secret and I made it a little better. I saw a lot of them slicing little side angles onto their tips with a utility knife. It's hard to get that the same every time. What I like to do is take some sandpaper. I got a couple blocks here. Make yourself a 90-degree angle. Hold the tube at that angle that you've cut it. If you're not sure, you can check it on the table. Maintain that angle. Do 2, 3, 4 swipes. That's going to put the little ridges on the side. And then if you have any fuzzy bits, just take your fingernail and pick those little bits off. Now this might seem silly to put these little ridges on here, but it's going to help the tube glide along a lot more precisely. And it's going to get the tip a lot closer to the crack where it's going to help the material fill up the crack. And that's what you want to do to make things look seamless. So load up your gun, get yourself some wet paper towel. That will come in handy. Don't worry about breaking the seal on these tubes. None of the water-based DAP products have a seal. If you did have to puncture something, you're not going to be able to get that caulking gun rod in there. It's going to be too thick for your small tip. What you want to do there is do not cut a bigger tip, just use a piece of tie wire. Whenever I get rolling, I like to start on the easiest spot, just so I can get a sense of how much I need to squeeze out. If you move the gun too fast and you're not squeezing hard enough, you're not going to put out enough material. But if you move too slow and you're squeezing too hard, you're going to make a huge, giant mess. So find that perfect flow, the right squeeze with the right speed. And here's the thing, if you do end up putting on not quite enough material, you can always come back and add some more material very easily. Once you've put on too much material, it's a mess. It's a giant freaking mess. That is why people end up hating caulking. So err on the side of not enough material, and you can always come back and add more. So work on a few of the easier spots. We'll do this straight section here. In terms of the angle of the gun, you want to bisect that 90-degree corner, and then the tilt of the gun, you want to match that up with that initial angle that you cut on the tip. Get a feel, get it going, the right squeeze rate, keep everything steady. When you get towards the bottom and the gun's going to run into the ground, this is the beauty of the dripless gun. Let off the handle, spin that tube around, and then rejoin back into your DAP line there. Then once you've got that caulked all the way along, you want to put some moisture on your finger. I've got my wet paper towel. I'll dip it in there, and then you want to be able to do one quick swipe and have everything look perfect. If it's not looking perfect, you've put on too much material. Adjust your amount in the future. If you've made a bit of a mess here, take the rag and just wipe her down a bit. Next, we're going to look at this inside corner. Now, this is one of the trickier situations. We're going to need to caulk 3 ways and make it look clean. The key here is get this thing perfectly wiped off, start it in the one direction, pull out, wipe it off, come back. You need to caulk this little seam here as well. So we'll come out that way and pull out, wipe it off. And the third direction. Now, if you've done this right, you should be able to take your pinky, wet it down, and stab it in there. Good grief. The innuendos never stop here. But get that pinky in there and just smooth it out. If you ended up putting in too much material and you made a bit of a mess, take your knife, your utility knife, wrap the wet paper towel on there, and just pick some of that caulking out, and then smooth it over with the pinky finger. And now let's finally cover this big gap at the top here. You really don't have to caulk the top of your door jambs here, but if you have boys at home, young boys, at some point in time, they're gonna hang off this. So I'm gonna caulk up here on all mine. For the big gaps, just go a little slower and squeeze a little harder. If you have any voids, circle back, hit the void, and then wet the finger down, give it a swipe. Got a couple more little spots here, hit that with a little bit more caulking, a final swipe. And you can see that is looking tremendous. And that is pretty much all you need to know to be an absolutely legendary caulker. And if you've ever wondered what it would look like if you caulked these nail holes and this miter seam and then painted over them, before you do that, you're gonna wanna check out this video right over here. With the dripless gun, you let off the trigger and the caulk stops. Oh my God. The crack of the material before you stick it in the crevice area. There's no way to say that without coming across as a bit creepy. But keep your tip clean.